And roll it back and out from under your sits bones. And then as well, take your hands to your thighs and inner rotate manually. So just doing these actions to help widen the base of the pelvis, to get really rooted, grounded, connected to the earth, stable in a foundation, to be able to then rise and lengthen up. Inhale, shrug the shoulders to the ears. Exhale, roll them down and back. And close your eyes as you're ready to settle in. Bringing your heart truly centered between your back and your front. Right here in the present with this breath, feel your body expanding with every inhale. From the bottom through the middle to the top. And contracting on the exhale, from the top through the middle and to the bottom. So you can really feel that sequential aspect of your breath, filling your body up. Emptying out in a three-dimensional manner. And if you did practice with me yesterday, you know we talked about this a lot, breathing from the center into the circumference. And breathing from dawn on the left to dusk on the right. To repeat the cycle again. Once you've established a rhythm in your breathing, tone the back of your throat a bit, constrict. So you narrow that passageway through which the air travels through as you breathe, directly stimulating the vagus nerve. And this ujjayi breath, this ocean-sounding breath, calms the nervous system. Literally, it can take you from fight or flight into a rest and digest state. The parasympathetic nervous system, the state in which we heal, the state in which we are more grounded and present and aware, less driven by thought and emotion, more able to listen and feel. And of course, all thoughts and feelings are valid at this time. It's important for us to be able to check in with the body and the breath, to slow down enough to really feel to what is true and what is real. Sattvic. And then to be able to make the skilled response. Yoga has always taught us that there's always ever present this quality of mystery in life. Things beyond our knowing, out of our control. So these last couple weeks have been a beautiful opportunity for us to all really truly live our yoga. To stay calm in the face of adversity. To be okay with what's uncertain. To even find more compassion and kindness and grace through all of it. And it starts with self and extends to others. So please do check in with yourself right now as you breathe and as you ground here in your body. How are you doing? Where is there extra tension built up in your body that you can direct your breath toward? Help start that softening process. Wherever it is in your body, your neck, your shoulders, your lower back, your hips, take a few more really focused, targeted breaths there. You can even imagine that part of the body being flooded with bright white healing light as you inhale. And the sweeping away, the carrying away any toxicity as you exhale. Anything stale, anything dull exits the body as you breathe out. And join your hands together at your heart center in Anjali Mudra, the prayer. So just honor yourself in this moment for showing up to the mat, for making a yoga sanctuary in your own home, in your abode, a safe space to continue these healing practices, physically distant yet socially together, and perhaps even more intimately connected to your own self and your own spirit. And that's really the beautiful part of this whole time, this era we find ourselves in. And we use it as an opportunity to know ourselves all the better and enjoy the ride and the process as much as possible, to trust it, to lean into it, because it's really the only option. So let's make it positive. Bow your head into your heart, seat of your inner teacher, always there to guide you along, to support you, to be your number one cheerleader. All right, release. So if you don't have a strap for this section, you can do your yoga mudra, hands interlaced behind the back, and follow along that way. If you have a strap, grab it. This is actually really one of my absolute favorite things for the neck and the shoulders. It's so effective. So you're going to take your strap behind you, right at your bra line. And if you're not sure where that is, gentlemen, it's pretty much right under the tips of your shoulder blades. Once you have that, measure your strap length forward so they're pretty even on both ends. And then do a cross with plenty of space that you'll be able to send your head through. Now keep the cross, keep the cross, keep the cross. And for a moment, just lean yourself forward a little bit so you don't lose the cross. Take your hands, free them, turn in, and grab the strap ends and start to pull down. And you'll notice this beautiful broadening of your whole chest. So breath across the collarbones, your lungs moving into the front of the body. Keep your head right on top of your spine, chin parallel with the floor. Make sure that you can really still feel yourself right atop your sits bones. Let your lower back Your neck have those lovely curves, just as your spine was designed. Drop your head off to one side. And let's say you dropped your head off to your left, and you pull down a little more with that left hand, so you feel a little additional pressure at the strap into your right trap, levator scapulae, that shoulder hiking muscle, all the way up through the side of the neck, into the jaw, the ear. Inhale, bring your head up on top of the spine, and switch it over to the other side. So if you're tilting your head off to your right, let's say you give a little extra pull to that right hand on the strap. So you can feel a little additional pressure there in your left shoulder and neck. Take another 2 full breaths. Inhale, back up on top of the spine. Tilt your head to the other side and do a few semicircles. Notice you're going to feel quite a bit of restriction as your chin comes forward and down towards your chest due to the action of the strap. So no need to force. Remember that this is a gentle yoga this morning. So you can really imagine that quality of just nurturing yourself, taking care of yourself. If you saw my story, I posted a cute little clip of Bob Ross petting a baby deer. Please tell me you know who Bob Ross is. If not, look him up. Anyway, that was the feeling I wanted to evoke for this class this morning, was Bob Ross petting a little doe. All right, take another full inhale. And exhale. And release your strap or release the interlace of your hands. Let's notice what you feel for a couple breaths upon coming out of that. A little more lightness. Okay. Come to tabletop on all fours. Stack the bones. Parallel your wrist to the top edge of the mat as you create a nice spread through the fingers. Doesn't have to be too wide. You don't want to spread yourself out too thin. With the knees right underneath the hips. Feel the roots of your feet into the mat, whether your toes tucked or tops of the feet down. It's really up to you. Create that nice long spine from your tail through the top of your head and push into the hands as you keep an open heart and feel the connection to your lower back through your core muscles. Inhale, round your back to cat. And exhale, arch it into cow. Continue with the breath. And start to add some barrel rolls as you're ready, incorporating the side plane of your body. It's like you're taking your head and your hips all the way around the clock to hit all the numbers. And then reverse, go the other direction. And come back to a neutral spine and take a full body breath. Walk your hands forward on the mat, tuck your toes, and exhale to lift your hips up, finding downward facing dog. Ensure that the feet are parallel, hips width. Take any creases out of the fronts of the ankles as you soften through your knees and tilt your tail high. And then again, keep that connection of your core strength into your lower back. Spiraling the armpits to the heart center. Anchor through the base of your thumb and your index fingers. A little softening through the elbows. So just slightly, the eyes of the elbows are rocking in and ever so slightly forward. A few deep breaths to settle in. The upper arms frame the ears, so again that you're maintaining that nice curve through the neck. And keeping the front of the throat center open, so you can breathe really well. And then from here, inhale, send your gaze a bit forward and step your left foot to the outside of your left hand. So you're in a dragon lunge variation or a lizard lunge variation. Rest the top of your back foot to the mat. Ensure that your left knee is stacked over your ankle. And if you're not quite sure, you can always use a block to help measure that. Right behind your heel and your calf should have a nice contact there flush with the block. So it's not tipping back. You're maintaining the connection. And then you can stay right here. You can always add your block, or if you've got two blocks on the inside of your left foot underneath your hands, or release it down to your forearms. Work with the proportions of your own body. So where can you be in the posture that you feel the nice stretch and you don't lose the connection to the breath? As well, maintain an open heart. Inhale, rise to your hands. Turn your left toes out to about 45 degrees. And then take your right hand to the mat underneath your shoulder. Again, softening the elbow ever so slightly so that the right shoulder stays relaxed, away from the ear, down and back behind the heart center. Press your left hand to your thigh, and then pushing a little bit off of your thigh, twist in toward the center line of your body. And then just check in with how that feels. Stay rooted and anchored through your big left toe ball mound to your outer heel, and your pinky toe ball mound to your inner heel. So that's going to help really track the left knee over the ankle and also keep it in line with the hip. You can stay here or tuck the back toes and inhale, elevate your right knee off the mat. Now, of course, if you want to add your block back in here underneath your right hand, you can always add that in. Since we got a little bit higher lifting up the back knee, it might feel appropriate to also elevate your bottom hand. Inhale, reach the left arm all the way up. And then rotate outward from your shoulder joint. So again, you're taking that armpit in toward the heart as you reach up. About 2 more full breaths. Keep engaging your inner thighs toward the midline, keeping your pelvis centered as if it was on a clock. Hips at 3 and 9. Inner right thigh spirals upward. And then inhale to slowly unwind. Release your back knee. Angle your left toes forward and switch it out through a tabletop position. Bring your right foot to the outside of your right hand. You can use your block again, just to know you're in a really good angle there. In your front shin. Try to make sure you've got a good view of that. There we go. So I'm not tipping the block back, but I'm maintaining the connection, heel and calf. And then I know that my knee is right over my ankle. Lizard lunge. Keep that nice extension out of your lower back. Notice any differences you feel on this side compared to the first and honor them. Can you feel your breath in your abdomen? And that diaphragm really working to make your breath full and expansive on the inhale. And contract all the way in with the exhale until you feel yourself fully empty. A little lift and tone at the base of the pelvis, the lower abdominals, even in the back of the throat. And you soften all those energy seals with your inhale, filling up. To exhale, empty out and close them off. Throat, belly, root. Inhale up to the hands. Turn your right toes out to about 45. And then press your right hand to your thigh, propelling you into your twist around your central spit. From the base of the pelvis to the top of the head. The head is even between the shoulders. You can work your cross reference from your left shoulder to your upper outer right eye, and your right shoulder to your upper outer left eye. And anchor into your big right toe ball mount, cross reference to the outer heel, and then the pinky toe ball mount to the inner heel. Tuck the back toes and lift your back knee, and you can incorporate your block again since you got a bit higher in space. Inhale, send the right arm up. Wrap the armpit into the heart. So your thumb is swirling back, your pinky finger forward. You feel that stretch apart underneath your feet. And then that hug into the center of your body. Breathing from core to periphery, from your center into your circumference. Feel that spanda, that pulse within you. It's just like the pulse of the tide, the pulse of so many of nature's vibrations, the cosmos. For one more full breath. And release. Heel toe your right foot in between your hands. Take your blocks underneath your hands and tuck your back toes so you can step yourself up. Finding your way to a standing forward bend. Soften the knees so that your belly can really come to your thighs. And then you can really hang your spine and your head down from there. Draw the inner thighs back and press down and scrub out through your feet. Ensuring that your hips width distance there by measuring out your two fists together at the center of the inner arches. Inhale, lengthen the spine to a half lift. Extend forward. Hands to your blocks under your shoulders or very light to your outer shins. Bring more weight into the balls of the feet. And find the connection between your pelvis and your ribs. That long central pillar of your spine. Deep breath in. And exhale to fold. Inhale, lengthen the spine again to half lift. Exhale to forward bend. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Step your left leg back and pivot your whole body towards your left. So you're coming into a wide angled stance. Toes lined up, outer edges of the feet parallel. Deep breath in, lengthen your whole spine from your tail through the top of your head. Feel your inner thighs rotate back. Walk your hands and your blocks way forward. So this is gonna feel like a really wide-legged downward facing dog to start. Melt the heart. Slightly release the head until your arms frame your ears. And just feel grounded in your feet. You're not sinking too far back into the heels, nor projecting too far forward into the balls of the feet. You really feel centered at the arches, lifting up through your legs into your hips, helping to tilt your pelvis forward so that the tail can rise and the spine can get super long. Keep that suppleness in the knees. And inhale, create a little bit of a lift through your sternum forward, 12 o'clock. Walk your blocks over to your left side. So that's going to be at about 10 o'clock. Plug your outer right hip back and then start to melt again over to the side. Your upper arms are still framing your ears. Just feel a nice side body stretch there in your right. And inhale, come through center over to your right side. So now you're tapping into a left side body stretch. You're at about 1 or 2 o'clock with those hands and arms. And then just notice if the left hip spilled forward since you're reaching in that direction. Keep pulling it back. Keep your hips on the clock at 3 and 9. And inhale to come forward with your sternum back to center. Walk the blocks underneath the hands. And then heel toe your feet closer together from there. Back to your hips width distance. 2 fists measured out, center of the inner arches. Inhale to half lift. Exhale to forward bend. And then very slowly bend your knees and roll up your spine. And as you reach the top, roll your shoulders a couple times up, down, and back. Palms open as you land in Mountain Tadasana. Organize your body back around that central spit that runs lengthwise from the base of your pelvis to the top of your head, connecting you to the earth below, the universe above. Find your center and your circumference. Breathe. Just open to whatever comes, whatever the future holds. Even in terms of this gentle sequence this morning. One more full breath. Inhale, sweep your arms all the way up and overhead. To exhale, soften through the knees and forward bend from the hips. Inhale to lengthen the spine, half lift. Exhale to return to downward facing dog. Feeling the weight in the balls of your feet. Similarly, feel the weight in the balls of your hands. Inhale, stretch your right leg up and back to three-legged dog. Bend the right knee and roll the hip open. Inhale, re-extend. Back to your three-legged dog with level hips. And place that right foot down, right back to where it was in dog, so you can go to your left side. Inhale, extend the leg up and back. Bend the left knee, roll the hip open. Inhale, re-extend. Exhale, step the left foot forward. Lunge. Ground your back knee. Grab your blocks and then shift back in space, working toward a half split pose. And your front left toes are flexed up and the center of the heel is really driving down and driving back on the mat. If you used a block flush to your foot, you should feel that really nice solid flex. Big toe ball mound as well as the pinky toe ball mound, inner and outer heel. And then another way to utilize the block is the flush on your back thigh. So again, you know that you're maintaining that 90-degree angle there in your back knee. Inhale, extend the spine forward. So you can keep the blocks wherever they are, or you can use them in your hands. It's up to you. Exhale, from your hips, bend forward. Keep dragging your left heel down and back. Tack the outer left hip back to its 9 o'clock position and keep softening through the back of the left knee. You maintain more openness through your heart, better quality breath into the tops of the lungs, right into the collarbones. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Bend into your left knee. So we're transitioning through a lunge to then pivot to the right for Kung Fu style lunge or Skandasana. So keep your left knee bent, your right leg long. Welcome to stay here or drop it down low, and in that case you'll flex the foot of your extended leg, toes up. You can always incorporate your block here underneath your sits bones to give you some extra support. Hands to the floor, hands to the heart. Perhaps your left hand comes down long, the arms in front with the bent left leg, the right arm's up. Keep that nice engagement on the top of your right leg into your hip. You can also work into your bind here. Half would be taking just the right forearm across the lower back to open up that right side of the chest. Or if you have the full bind available to you, you can work it, perhaps even using a strap. So your left shoulder and arm internally rotate to wrap around that bent left leg. And then you use the strap to pull apart as you make the bind. And spiral open. And notice if your tailbone is curling underneath you and forward. Keep sending it a little bit more back toward that 6 o'clock position, slightly behind you. And then lift through the front body. For 2 more breaths. And very slowly inhale to spiral out. Pivot back to a lunge. And then back to the top of the mat so you can switch out your legs. For half split, Ardha Hanumanasana. Shift back. So just to ensure that we're not sitting too far back, and then we're not straining too far forward either. Work that 90-degree angle on your back left knee. So the block can help hold you accountable there so that you really know you're lined up. And then also that you have that fully active flex on your front foot. This will just help you to more thoroughly and actively stretch into all of your hamstrings. So feel the center of the right heel pressing down and dragging back. Use your muscle memory to really plug all these points in your body. And then inhale, extend the spine. Exhale, bend from the hips. It's like an origami crease. The back of the right knee stays soft. The outer right hip tacks back into its 3 o'clock position. One more breath into your open heart. Inhale to extend the spine. And then come back into your lunge so you can pivot to your left for Skandasana. So there's quite a number of variations you can work with. Do listen to your body. Honor what it needs this morning. You mainly want to prevent your bent right knee from collapsing in. So feel an engagement on the outer hip to keep it rotated outward, and cross-reference the weight also in that right foot to help you stay centered. You can drop it low, and if that makes your right heel lift up a little bit, that's fine too. Just again, check in with that outer rotation on both your hips and thighs. And you can be here on the earth, hands to the heart. You're welcome to incorporate a block underneath your hips with that long diagonal sweep. Keep the buoyancy in the pelvis rather than sinking. Use your strength to gently lift. Incorporate the half bind, maybe the full bind. You can use a strap for that. Make sure that you're inner rotating your right shoulder and arm, and you're wrapping it around the front of your bent right leg to then peel the left side of your chest and shoulder open. And can you still feel the center of your left heel pressing down into the mat? A few more deep breaths. Inhale, slowly unwind. Come back to your lunge. And back to downward facing dog. Another full body breath. And take your knees wide to the mat. Bring your big toes together. Settle your hips to your heels. And to incorporate your blocks in child's pose. One underneath the sternum, one underneath the forehead. This can actually give your hips and your knees a little bit more support, as well as keep the volume in the upper body and some extension through the spine as you forward bend. I'm just going to breathe here for a few more cycles as I do my little time check. Perfect. Okay. So from child's pose, make your way up. Again, if you have a strap, you can incorporate it from here. If you don't, just imagine that you do. Loop your strap around your thighs above the knees, hips width distance apart. And remember your hips width, it's your 2 fists. Measured out. Between the inner arches, center of the inner arches of the feet. So you find that, follow the lines up, and when you press your thighs out into the strap, you should hold right at that hip width dimension. Okay, have your blocks nearby available and lie on your back. So first things first, when you're prepping to come into bridge, is to feel the cross reference in the feet. So all those four corners plug down. That nice lift through the arches. The inner rotation of the thighs, which the strap here is helping to support anyway, as well as the hips width dimension. Bring your elbows to the sides of your ribs and curl your shoulders underneath you. Puff up your chest, ground into the back of the head. Inhale, lift your hips. Lift your spine. Press your thigh bones out into the strap. And then press your feet down and forward. And then drag down and back. Scrub down and out. Extend your arms. Bring your shoulders even a little bit more underneath you. Palms can stay flat. You can use the end of the strap there to hold and pull apart a bit with your hands, or interlace the fingers. Bring the chin off of the chest so you know you have that lovely curve again in your neck. It's not flat. Let's take another 2 full breaths. From the center into the circumference. And back to the center. And then release the strap, release your hands, lower through your hips. So rather than lowering first your spine, you're gonna press your butt down. So it feels like your ribs are really expanding forward. Just pause there, keep that. And then keeping that bit of curve in your lower back, neutralize it slightly by bringing your shoulders a little bit back and your head a little bit back on the mat. You should still be able to slide a hand at least halfway through underneath your lower back. So just make sure that it's not flat. Take your feet off the mat, wrap the strap, and then put your right foot into it. Bring your left leg down long. Now, if you don't have a strap, you're welcome to interlace your hands behind your thigh or further up your leg. If you have your strap, bring it at the ball of the foot so you can still be in a nice, good flex there, a dorsiflex on your right foot. And as well, you can feel some pressure of your foot pressing up into the strap. You're going to rotate the left thigh. An ever so slight turn outward from your right hip all the way up through your toes so you can open it to about 1 o'clock or so there. And take some deep breaths into that posterior right hip and leg. Two more breaths. And then bend that right knee so you can release the strap for a moment. Use your right foot on the mat to move your hips over to the right so you've got space to then twist over to the left with that right knee. And put a block underneath it, a blanket. And just take it to the floor. Soften your right shoulder into the mat. Few breaths to twist, just a final ring out of the spine. And with your inhale, come back to center. Put your left foot into the strap and your right leg down long. And your right leg down there, don't forget about it. It's still fully involved in the pose. The thigh internally rotates and the right toes flex up. You can imagine like you did in the half split that you had a block there at your right foot to make some contact with, or even a wall to press into. And then engage a bit of outer rotation from your left hip up through the toes. So it'll be taking them to about 11 o'clock or so. As you pull down, press up for that dynamic energy. Moving into the earth, lifting up to the sky, hugging into your center and expanding out into your circumference. And as you breathe here for a few more cycles, just check in that you can still feel your lumbar spinal curve as well in your neck. And gently release. Move your hips off to your left so you can twist that left knee over to the right. And so just ensuring that your hips are nice and stacked. And if your knee doesn't quite make it to the floor, you can always prop it up. Round the left shoulder. You feel that nice kidney flush in your lower back as you wring it out and twist. Support it with your breathing. Inhale to return to center. Draw your knees to your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze. Or curl up into a tiny little ball. And extend your limbs long. Open your toes out, your palms up. Anything additional you need for yourself is always welcome. You know your body best. Divine Shavasana, corpse pose.